Whoa! Hey everybody, Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and I was just recording another video. I cleaned that up, and I'm gonna paint up this. It's either like a forest guardian or a forest golem of some sort. It's one of the DungeonSwag minis I just got in the mail. It's amazing, and I love it. So I wanted to paint it up, but I'm not gonna do it the way I usually do. This is a makeup brush from Dollar Tree, I think. Yeah, it's got to be from Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna get some of this dark burnt umber paint from Walmart. I'm going to wipe my hand off on that piece of cardboard. And I'm just going to keep that brush fairly wet. And I'm going to paint this guy roughly brown. I say roughly brown because I'm going for brown, but I'm not going to get in every crack and every crevice. He's got a base coat of black there. That'll do a lot of heavy lifting for dark. I'm going to focus less on getting cracks on the bottom and more towards the top where I want them to be a little bit lighter. This is going to create a very, very generic zenithal effect. And I say very generic because it's obviously not going to be a true zenithal, but at the same time, I think it'll do what we want it to. Now I'm going to leave more brush on the paint on the brush as I come up here and want less of that black exposed. Underneath his hand I have less paint, so I'm not going to worry about the under the arm there as much, because that's going to be a darker recess. And I'm covering everything, even though some of these parts won't be ultimately brown. I am covering it all in this for now. Okay, now once we have that pretty much covered the way we want, and like I said up here I'm getting into the cracks a little bit more because I want that to be lighter. I'm creating a fake zenithal, generic zenithal effect. If you don't know what a zenithal effect is, go watch a real painter. They'll teach you about that kind of stuff. I am not a real painter. I am a shiesty one. I am a cheap, easy painter. So what I want to do is I want to lighten that up, and I want to give it like a reddish tone. So to lighten that up and give it a reddish tone, I'm just going to use that same paint, and I'm going to get a chestnut color, which is like a reddish light brown. And I'm going to mix those in together. And I don't want it to be too much lighter, but I want it to be lighter. Okay. Then I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. I'm going to come around and jag him up with it. And just create some different layers. Make him kind of interesting with his undercoat. I probably could have used like a chocolate bar or one of those colors that has some red in it that's dark already and got a similar effect. But I chose to do it this way. You do it how you feel comfortable, because that's what really matters, is that you're happy with your product. Okay? There's some kind of wet in there. I'm just going to get that wet so it dries nice. That's all I'm doing. Okay, so now he's got an interesting, like a wave of different tones across him. We're going to hit him with the air gun again real quick, and we'll come back. Now we're going to get a bigger brush and use that lighter reddish brown again. And I'm just going to get a new dry brush that I haven't used yet. That covers a little more surface space than that one, maybe. This is just another makeup brush from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to make sure I thoroughly get that brush coated with that. And I'm going to take a lot of that out. I'm going to come and I'm going to hit him all over. Just like that. See, he's got a lot of depth already. We have put very little effort in. A lot of depth. It's looking all right. Okay, so we want to be interesting with this guy. We don't want him to be all brown. So let's leave brown alone for just a minute here. Okay, and let's try a new color. Let's try some green. Let's do some of this vine work in green. And to do that, I'm just going to get a dark green. This is called Arbor Green. I'm going to use a kind of a smaller brush here. This is like a size 1 kind of. It says it's a 00, but it's more like a 1. And then I'm going to coat these in these sticky outy pieces. And I'm not doing a perfect coverage job. As you can see, I'm just kind of hitting the highest parts and then dragging it on the sides a little bit. I'm not going for perfect coverage because you don't want to be painting this mini all day. Maybe you do, but I don't. I think we're going to get a really nice effect with what I'm doing here. At least that's what I'm banking on. Now this is kind of a thicker coat because I want it to lighten this, or change the color of the undercoat of where I'm going to do the lighter green dry brush on this pretty significantly. So I'm just carefully getting the top parts and trying not to get it on the under parts, the lower parts. And as it's drying, you can see it's definitely doing what I wanted it to do. Just changing the tones a little bit. And it's giving him some nice variation. But you don't want to make this perfect. You don't want to really saturate this too much. You want this to stay kind of fun and easy to do. You don't want to ruin this project. You want to make it interesting and good looking, but you don't want to spend all day doing it. And just right here where there's kind of like a cluster of vines, I'm hitting those. And let's come up and look at the upper body. We got some coming out here. Okay. That natural darker brown that's underneath there is going to create a little bit of variation on that anyways, unless you go really thick on this paint like I've done in some spots. So keep in mind that we're just hitting the tops of these vine looking pieces to make it look interesting. Let's do one on his arm here. And let's hit this stuff back here. Okay. And we'll clean that up. Come there. This is obviously supposed to be a little bit green, but we're going to do less effort in those kind of recess spots. Okay, and we got some vine there. Yeah, let's come up here on this shoulder. This looks more like mushroom than vine. Maybe I should have thought about that before I did it, but it's okay. All right, so we're pretty happy with that, I'm thinking. And let's come down this arm. Just do a little bit there. And you could pretty much stop at this point and have a decent enough looking miniature. If you hit the metal ring on his arm, the metal rings on his arms, you could be done. You wouldn't have to do too much more, and he's a good looking mini already. He's good enough for tabletop to show your players that you put some effort in, and that's what really, they're looking for, that show. They're not looking for pure quality. Look at that. I really want to do that in green, but I just don't want to bring green up there. Maybe I'll do something else up there. All right, let's rinse that brush out. Where's the underwear? I always wipe my brush on. Oh, there they are. All right. So let's do the metallic. So to do the metallic, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a black paint. Come on, you bastard. That's a lot more than I wanted. That's what happens when impatience gets you. And I'm just going to hit these kind of spotty. Let me get a little bit of water in that so it spreads easier. There we go. I'm not trying to do a perfect job. Okay. Just half-ass hitting them and leaving some of that brown exposed. And we'll do this side. just like that. Okay. Leave those alone for now. Let's do his mask. So to do his mask, I'm getting a synthetic plastic, bristle brush. And I'm going to get a lighter color of brown. This is called khaki. I'm just going to get a little bit of that on my brush. I'm going to wipe a lot of it off. And then I'm just going to drag it real careful across there and lighten that mask up. I don't want it to be perfect. Okay. Look at that. It did just what we wanted it to. Really made that mask pop. We're going to take that same color. We're going to mix it with a little bit of that red, brown, and make a lighter color here. This is going to be almost an orangish brown. We're going to touch around on his hair some and lighten that up a little bit. Just like that. We're going to do his fingers with it. Make them pop a little bit more, and we're going to hit this vine over here in some spots, but not all spots. Okay. All right, so that looks like it could be stone or something right there. So let's get a small brush and some pavement, my favorite color in the world. Thank you, Sweener the Wiener, for providing this pavement that we're using today. I'm just going to real carefully get in there. And I'm not going to do it in every spot. I'm not going to be a perfect coat. I'm just kind of getting the main body of that stone. And I'm painting it like that. See, I didn't put too much effort in there. I'm going to use that same pavement and that same brush. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off, but I'm leaving it pretty wet. I'm also going to come back and I'm going to hit these shackle things again. I'm not doing perfect, I'm just lighting them up some. Okay. Now we're going to hit him with the air gun. He's pretty dry, and I'm pretty happy with that. So now we're going to get a little bit of work here. We're going to get a light gray. This is called elephant gray. And I'm going to get a synthetic brush again. I'm going to wipe a lot of that out. Then I'm going to brush around on that stone on his chest a little bit. I'm going to hit his little armbands a little bit. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into that though. I'm just lightening them up. Just across the high spots. Need a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm going to come up here with that light gray. And I'm just going to hit some of this hair area a little bit just to make it a little different and pop a little more. It looks a little crisp. All right, I'm pretty happy. All right, can we be done? No, we're not quite done. But we're in the ballpark of done. All right. Any metallic you want to water down and thin out would work good on the armbands. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this gunmetal. And I'm just going to get a tiny bit here. Just that much. And I'm going to get my brush damp. I'm going to pull some of that out and make it pretty thin. And you can do this with like craft paint, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it really, if you add like a drop of water to craft paint, I just don't think it has the coverage you need for this look. So all I'm doing, it's not perfect coverage. It's kind of like the sloppy again to make that metallic kind of pop. And I don't want to hit it everywhere. What I want to cover up is like the ugliest colors on it that didn't work out right, and I want to make it look metallic, but I don't want to put too much effort into this because this isn't supposed to be a horrible long craft. This is supposed to be a fun craft. Now we want his eyes to kind of glow. So to do that, we're just going to get an off-white. I'm using this mummy ropes. I'm going to get an off-white. We're going to make sure our brush has a good tip. We're going to cover those eyes up with that off-white. You could use bright white too, I suppose. I just didn't want to reach over to my side and look for regular white. So I'm just going to use this mummy ropes that I have right here. If you have linen from Walmart, that might be a really good mix too. A really good color for this. I got a little bit of white outside my eye. So I'm just using my spit from my tongue and cleaning that up. There we go. We're going to dry that. And then you can use whatever you want to use to do your eyes, but I think I'm going to use some speed paint to do it to get a really nice, vibrant red. And then I want to go around that with a very fine black ring. Let me find a small brush for this. So I'm getting water, some of that black, just like that. And I'm going to come around here underneath. Just like that. And then I'm going to get my water again. I'm going to do it again. Just across the top. I'm just taking my time. Like that. Because I want mine to look like that. You don't have to do that to yours. It might not be a perfect effect. Then I'm going to get my brush cleaned out. I'm going to grab a dot of white from each side. Do a little dot in the middle of mine. All right. Cleaned out my little brush. Let's do the base. So for the base, I'm just going to use some of that burnt umber we had from before. And I'm just going to get it roughly around in most of the spots. I didn't do any 3D stuff on this base. This is just the base that Scorbic mailed me from DungeonSwag. I didn't do anything to it. Nothing fancy, nothing special. And I'm just going to coat it with this brown first. Okay. And I'm not hitting everywhere, but I'm doing a ish job. Okay. Then I'm just going to get this next brown and mix it with that some. I'm going to touch it around on there and create a little bit of speckling and camouflage. Then I'm going to get this white and mix that in and introduce a third color and kind of bang that around down there. Okay, just like that. I'm going to clean this, go all the way around the outside in black, make it look beautiful. Got a little bit of brown paint on the side I'm trying to work through there without ruining my ring. Sweet. Let's hit him with the air gun. grab our cardboard. We're going to grab a lighter green. I'm using palm leaf. And I'm using a very small synthetic brush, plastic bristle. Okay, just like that. I'm getting a lot of it off. And then I'm going to brush around and just dab on some of these vines. To lighten it up a little bit. See, I'm not putting an enormous amount of effort into that, and I'm not doing a great job. I'm just dabbing them around and creating some variations so they don't look monotone. And I'm not going to worry about the ones on his back, because we've already been here for 20-something minutes probably. 21 minutes. So we don't want to put an enormous amount of effort into it, but there we go. Now, the base is looking very boring. We could do paint there, but we're just going to be cheaters and not do that. So let me get a toothpick and some clear glue. This is a new clear glue, so we got to get it open. Well, I don't know where my pliers are. I've lost my pliers. We're going to try to use these snippers to remove it. Snippers are not good removers because they're snipping. Okay. Oh, we got it. Nice. Okay. We're going to get a little bit of clear glue. It's a lot of bit of clear glue. A toothpick. We're going to drag that around and shove it in the crack under his foot a little bit and create some areas where we want our green flock to stick to simulate grass. You don't want to come all the way out to the edge if you can avoid it, but sometimes you can't. I just knocked away some baking soda I used on the base for glue, so I'm just going to get back in there. I'm going to cover that up with some clear glue. Now, if you really wanted to, you could bring some of this up onto him. Like, there's a really good spot right there. Like right there in this crevice. Just get it in there, shove it in the crack. You want it to be a little thicker because it's not a flat spot like the base. And we could put a little bit back in here too if we wanted, okay? And that will definitely tie him in with the base. Something like that. So everybody needs to thank Scorbic for doing such a nice job on the box this month. This looks amazing. This is such a fun sculpt. Let's hit it with some hot air real quick. Less than 25 minutes. And we have something that you could really enjoy on your table that looks sharp, looks nice, and will be a fun enemy that they won't know what hit them. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment, all the stuff that pleases the spirits of the algorithm so that they will smile upon us. Do me another favor. Come back and see me next time. Bye.